Whose land is this? My land.
Welcome back to Just the Guy Reviews. I'm Matt Sula, and today's special presentation is Martin Scorsese's new film, Killers of the Flower Moon. It seems like this movie has been being talked about forever. I believe the first time I heard about it must have been 2019, I want to say, which is quite a long time. And ever since I want to say 2020, we have been stuck with that one still constantly of are the stars of this movie, Leonardo DiCaprio and Lily Gladstone, sitting at the dining room table. That I swear I've seen that still for 3 years now. So it's great that we finally have this movie. So like I said, Leo DiCaprio, Lily Gladstone, along with Robert De Niro and a bunch of other faces that we've seen constantly with Martin Scorsese, and a bunch of just really funny decisions that I love. I think it's so funny that Jason Isbell is like a pretty big part of this movie. I believe it's his first acting credit, and he did a phenomenal job. Sturgill Simpson is in this. I love him as well. Dude puts out nothing but great albums when he decides to make music. We get a cameo from John Lithgow and Brandon Fraser. Like, this movie is star-studded. It was awesome. Just like most Scorsese movies, like, the whole time you're going to be going like, "Ooh, I know that guy. I know that guy. I know that woman. I know that girl." Like, it's a lot of just people saying, "Of course, yes, I'll be in a Martin Scorsese movie. I'd be stupid to say no." So in that regards, it is very Scorsese-esque. But the movie itself is not. Like, everyone that I've told so far about this movie has basically been, it's fantastic. This is a great movie. Everything about it is pretty good. Like, even the 3.5 hour runtime, like, didn't bother me. I am a guy that tends to like long movies, but, I can admit when it feels like a long movie. And this movie still feels long, but I would say it feels like 2.5 hours-ish for 3.5 hours, which I know a lot of people don't even like 2.5 hour long movies. Like, a lot of people are like 2 hours or I'm out. I think for the story that this is telling, you need all 3.5 hours. You can't really just go over some stuff because it's a true story that goes over years. And so the description of this is, in the 1920s, members of the Osage Native American tribe of Osage County, Oklahoma, are murdered after oil is found on their land, and the FBI decides to investigate. So this movie is based on the book of the same name written by David Grann, a book I have not read, I will not read, because I've heard reviews of the book who everyone basically says it's very good. It's just a slog to get through, and I gotta be honest, I'm not much of a reader as it is. If you're not basically Stephen King, I don't really have the time of day for you. I'm sure it's a great book. It's just not something that I'm going to be diving into, especially after watching the 3.5 hour long movie of it. But so, like I said, it's about the killing of a bunch of members of the Osage tribe out there in Oklahoma. Is basically the mystery around who is killing them, why they're doing it, and so on and so forth. I don't want to... It's hard to talk about a movie that is a historical drama and it being a true story, that it's hard to really give spoilers, but I don't want to go too much into what exactly is going on here. What I would like to talk about is basically just how great everything inside of it is. Like, the performances are amazing. It's not your typical Leo performance. He's not very bombastic. He's not very, like, in your face charismatic. He plays kind of a dunce. Plays a guy where in like the first 10 minutes he says, "I love women and money. That's all you really need to know about me." And it's like, all right, so we kind of get the sense of what your character is. His uncle, played by Robert De Niro, who I think steals this movie. I think De Niro is like, this is one of the best performances I've seen from him, especially since probably the turn of the century. I would say probably his best performance since Goodfellas or Casino. I don't know. I can't remember the dates on that. I don't know what came out when. But he, even like, think it's better than Silver Linings Playbook and anything like that. He was phenomenal in this movie. He was the presence in like every time he was on screen. You felt his presence. You knew he was there. You saw like his facial expressions were incredible. And the way he delivers lines, he's like still playing almost a gangster like he does a lot, so he should be good at it by now, but it's like a different kind. Like he's this man from the West, I think Oklahoma as well, like just acting the way he is. I think it's, you really got to see it. I think really great performance. Also Lily Gladstone, who plays Molly in this movie, she's fantastic. She has probably the hardest role to play, in the sense that like the first maybe 2 hours of the movie, like she's very much in there, she's part of it, and then she's sick basically the last hour and a half of the movie, and she's just in bed, and the way that she portrays like everything that's going on around her with basically just body language, because she's acting so sick, she's barely able to talk. I thought she was phenomenal in this movie. One thing that I noticed pretty much off the bat was basically the first scene is Leo. Was just at war, kind of. He was a cook. He was working in the kitchen. He didn't actually see any action. Comes back home, gets off the train, and the music sounds very, very Scorsese-esque. Like it almost sounds like at any point there's going to be that needle drop and Satisfaction's going to start playing, or any Stones song really, because we know Scorsese loves the Stones. But like the music really had that sound to it, where it was like, all right, this sounds like it's a little upbeat, like we're going to have a good time here. And just slowly the music starts to change, and like it gets darker, it starts to disappear. It's really, the music almost adds like this extra layer to this movie that makes it go from, oh, okay, we're in a Scorsese movie, it's like bang, oh, this isn't what we thought. Because like I said earlier, this is not the Scorsese films that people like say, ooh, Scorsese, I love Goodfellas, Wolf of Wall Street, any movie in that ilk. Like, there's no sense of fun in this movie. This movie is pure dread. This movie is purely the killing of the Osage people, and basically people going after them to get their wealth, because they were pushed away from their original land, ended up here, and this land happened to have oil on it. So the Osage tribe became the richest people in the country, basically. And which, of course, that can't happen. So these killings start happening. Everyone starts getting killed off in like the most awful, disturbing ways possible that really hit home. And although this film does a very good job of basically telling you right away who's doing it, it's still about like who did it, why they did it, and how they're getting away with it. Basically, like I think upwards of hundreds of people in real life died. This movie really, or were killed, murdered. This movie follows mainly around one family and a few others, but basically showing just how devastating it was, how everything was going on. And it's kind of gut-wrenching. I do really want to watch this movie again because it is a lot to take in. It is 3.5 hours long. There's a lot of information going on. There's really no other way to... I don't want to say what I was going to say, actually. I was like, this is really the only way that Scorsese was able to tell this story. It is hard. Like, it is a story that not many people know about and is hard to tell from the perspective of really just a white guy, like telling the story about the Native American tribe, indigenous people tribe, who are being killed by white people to get their money. That's basically what's going on here. And I mean, it does do wonders for this story, having one of the greatest directors of all time telling it. Granted, it's not from, there's going to be a lot of people who have the same criticism that they had with Oppenheimer, that we didn't have the perspective from the Japanese in Oppenheimer. We don't really have the perspective from the Osage people, and that's because Martin Scorsese is not part of that tribe. He's a white guy telling the story basically from the perspective of who's committing these crimes. It's really a wonderfully told story. Said before it came out, Scorsese said he took a lot of inspiration for the pacing from Ari Aster and Midsommar and Beau is Afraid, which I love Midsommar. It's one of my favorite movies of all time. I loved Beau is Afraid. I keep wanting to rewatch it, but can never find the time. Another 3-hour-long movie. And I see exactly what he said. The pacing was slow, but not slow enough to make me lose any interest. And it does hit all the bits that you want in order to feel the sympathy for these people that are being murdered. The survivors, as they're dealing with it, Lily Gladstone is basically playing a woman who's watching her entire family get slaughtered, and she doesn't know who's doing it, why they're doing it. They're doing little cover-ups here and there for like, oh, this person actually killed themselves. They were a melancholy. Like, it's all just wonderful performances left and right. As I said, the music, Robbie Robertson, who has been working with Scorsese for years, has his hand in the music on like King of Comedy, Casino, Silence, Wolf of Wall Street, The Irishman. Like they've been working together for a long time. I think his music, like I said, almost another character in the movie, telling you exactly how and what's going on, the progression. I thought it was beautiful. Overall, I do recommend this movie to just about anybody. I know, again, 3.5 hour runtime. Most people are going to say, I don't have time for that. Watch it in segments, which I think would be a pretty bad idea. I do think you do need the like gradual storytelling for the gut punch and everything. I don't think you're going to get the full effect. So, I mean, just like sit down on when it comes out on Apple TV or go to the movies, which will end up being a 4-hour affair with trailers and everything. But like, just carve out a day, watch it. You're not going to regret it. I mean, it's a Martin Scorsese film. It's great. Whether you get any enjoyment out of like the technical aspects of his directing is a different story. But I recommend everybody watch this. Again, it's not fun in any way. It's meant to make you feel terrible because it's a terrible story as to what happened. Overall, although I am saying praising it left and right, I will say just based on my ratings, me personally, I do like a little bit of fun in my movies, which just doesn't have. And I am going to rewatch it. And my score will probably change. As of right now, I gave it an 86 out of 100. On IMDb, it does have an 8.1, 92% from critics, 85 from audience, which I actually think is quite higher than I thought. I guess it's a lot more people didn't really care about the runtime, or it's just a lot of people, like everyone who went to see it knows what they're getting into and they don't care. They're going to watch a Scorsese film and they know what they're getting. Letterboxd 4.3 out of 5. Again, I gave it a 4 for now. I am gonna update it probably on my rewatch when it finally comes out. But soft 86 out of 100. And that is my review for this video. Please remember to like the video and subscribe to the channel. It definitely helps out a lot. I'm gonna start trying to make more videos for older movies. I already did The Exorcist from 1973. I'm trying to work on one for Jaws. I'll do one for E.T. I'll probably do one for Jurassic Park. So stay tuned if you want to see my reviews on those. Like I said, subscribe to the channel, like the video, and peace, guys.
I don't know what you said, but it must have been Indian for handsome devil.